Welcome back from the break. This is still the results show on your election headquarters, Joy News. Let's take you back to the Assin North constituency where the Director of Communications for the NDC, Sami Jemfi, is addressing a press conference now, a news conference. Let's take you there now.
As the Member of Parliament.
Finally, from me, tomorrow we all enjoy the holiday. Right after that, you're back in court. You're going to go through all of this again. Any reactions to this? Tomorrow is a holiday. You're going back to court on Thursday. What does this mean?
The last time we went to court, they lost the application that was moved. So they've started losing because their case is built on sand. It's built on wickedness. It's built on vindictiveness. The truth is on our side. The law is on our side. Honorable Kwasin's hands are clean. He is on the side of the law. And posterity will vindicate him. We are not intimidated by the court processes. We know they will try to even escalate it. We can read them. We can predict the NPP. Very vindictive people. That is their stock in trade. So they will try their shenanigans again. But I want to tell you that the NDC is standing firm, strong. We are resolute, we are unwavering, we are unshakable, we are unbreakable. All of us and all our legal brains, led by the venerable lawyer Chachu Chikata, we are standing strong behind Honorable Kwasin until justice is won in court. But you know what? There is a court that is more powerful, more stronger than any court. It is a court of public opinion. And today, the court of public opinion has spoken. And that is what matters. Thank you very much. So let's go to the command center.
So that's all.
So that's Sami Jemfi, the National Communications Officer of the NDC, speaking there now. But we've heard a lot from the National Democratic Congress. What is the New Patriotic Party saying? Listen.
All good. Look at our preparation and everything. It's been good. This is elections, and it didn't go well for us, but it doesn't matter that we lost it all.
So that's Ntori there. He is Director of IT for the NPP. He says they've lost it all. They'll go back to the drawing board and see what's happening. Well, Evans, so when we're going, I think Winston was trying to make a point about the campaigning and how, Charles Opokun was off and we played what the president said. Wasn't it strategic that if you look at the fact that if you vote for someone, he would be prosecuted, and the fact that we need so what you're watching now are the live visuals of James Jachikwesi. Now the NDC candidate there who we are told is in the lead. So let's take you there now for you to listen in to what's happening there.
Since father's house. So now we are heading to the collation center where George Achikwesi will shortly address the people of the Assin North constituency after the EC finally declares him officially as the winner of this by-election that took place today.
All right. So grateful that you are still staying on with us here on your election headquarters. Evan, so I was trying to find out from you guys, wasn't it strategic on the part of the NPP to decide to say that, look, let's hammer more on the fact that if you vote for this man, he's being prosecuted for the fact that he did not renounce his Canadian citizenship before filing in 2020, and therefore let's hammer more on that. Wasn't it strategic? But before I come to you, Ntori has been speaking to join you. He's the Director of IT for the NPP. He is the only NPP we've heard from concerning the outcome of this election. What did he say to us? Listen again.
look at our preparation and everything. It's been good. This is elections, and it's not. It didn't go well for us, but it doesn't matter that we lost it all. I think we'll go back to the drawing board, prepare again, and come back in 2024 and make sure we can snatch the seat again.
All right, so that is him there. He's the director of IT for the NPP. Okay, so Evans, back to you.
Winston, you had Ntori's assertions there. Is there any doubt in what he says about what he himself attests to be the outcome of those elections when you heard him talk?
No. I mean, when you listen to him, I mean, I think he makes the point. He says it didn't go as planned. They've lost, but that's not all. You know, you essentially will go and prepare and come back in 2020
and snatch it back.
And snatch it back, and that's it really. I mean, this is a director of IT, and so he knows a lot. I mean, a thing or two.
As far as the coalition is concerned,
yeah, he's there.
The IT infrastructure always. Remember in 2016 when they brought in the current head of the
NCA.
And again, his forte was IT.
Yeah.
And he helped them. So that's why when you hear the director of IT speak about the results for the NPP, you take it seriously.
You have to, because look, at this point in time, Evans, and I mean Evans, Joseph, and Samuel, we've made the point already. If the NPP had won this election, we would hear from the NPP.
Yeah.
Elections are such that when you do not win, you go to sleep. I have contested elections before. The ones that I won, you jubilate. The ones that you lose, that's when you're left alone. You go home alone, nobody follows you.
You know what it reminds me of? The day we covered the NPP's elections, the national executive elections. John Boyru, exactly.
You saw him.
That's the one. You were there.
No, but
you were also there.
Yeah, but the recent one, the NDC one.
Yeah.
When the national chairman, when the election.
It was up for exactly. You disappear. You completely go off the radar.
Look, that's how elections are done. So, and I've always insisted that on the day, I mean, the NPP would know. I mean, some of the NPP guys would know what's going to happen. But let's put that aside. What Ntori has done is to let us know that the NPP accepts that they didn't run, their campaign was unsuccessful. Let me put it that way. Their campaign was unsuccessful, but that's not the end of the world.
They'll come back. You'll come back in 2024.
In election, you'd have to, but you're coming back in 2024. Yes, it didn't work this time. 137 plus independent candidates. The game is on.
I mean, Evans, just for context, you saw where Sami Jemfi addressed the news conference room, so we understand they gave the journalist access to see the results. Does that sound like a familiar story to you?
Well, it does.
Mean, we've seen the NPP.
Because the NPP, they do that.
2016.
Yes, they do
access.
that. They open up their collation center for journalists to go in. The NDC in fact, I've seen the NDC guys now poking fun at the NPP's collation. In fact, our good friend, Dr. Mani Muhammad sent me, I don't know whether he sent it to you, a shot of something that looks like a completely out of sorts collation. And
you can't see any figures. I've seen that.
You can't see that one too. They're sharing it. And it's ironic, of course, you know, he was accused of supervising the collation system in 2016 that didn't work. But clearly tonight, something has worked for them in terms of collation. That's why they feel confident to take the journalists to the collation center to see what's happening. The NPP would have done same if indeed they had won. Listen, we still wait for the Electoral Commission. I was making a point to Brace a short while ago. In Ghana, until you hear the Electoral Commission declare the results, you cannot go to sleep. You cannot go. In 2020, one of the biggest challenges we had was collation centers. You remember that? The people who died at collation centers because of the issues surrounding that. And that is why it's not over yet. And if I were the NDC, they're jubilating. They seem to have left the collation center and gone away. But I'm saying, since we haven't seen the results yet, and we're updating this is the last time we checked with the EC, we have 31 out of 99 collations, we have to wait. And that is why I believe the director of IT will be under a lot of pressure. Right? And there's a reason why. There's a reason why the party hierarchy have been absolutely quiet. It's not for the want of trying. We've called almost everybody we knew to say, talk to us. What's happening? At the collation center, talk. And it was just a struggle until he came in and spoke and told us the story.
But I don't think the NDC guys are taking their eyes off the ball. And I say so because Ohimin Teria, Bidzidin is there.
Oh, of course.
Kofi Adams is there at the coalition center. They are not leaving.
But they seem very relaxed.
You see?
Yes, they are relaxed because they have the figures.
Yeah.
But what matters now, like you rightly pointed out, is what will be declared at that center.
Of course, that's what will be declared.
And so that is how
That's what
come,
matters, yeah.
even though the other side, they are moving around with Mr. Kwesi, they are going to the home, they are jubilating, they still have the other guys watching to make sure that what is coming in is consistent with what
What they know, what they have.
But guys, is this not reminiscent of what happened in Kumewu? In Kumewu at this time, who was jubilating? It was the NPP who were on the road. Everybody.
The thing about a by-election, this is the difference between a by-election and a general elections. With the general elections, that tension is over 275 constituencies, both parliamentary and presidential. So a lot of things can happen. When it gets to a by-election, it's one constituency.
Yeah.
And this by-election is important for a reason. I mean, I was monitoring a lot of conversations, in the afternoon. I had a member of parliament for Asoka, Patricia PJ, for instance, say that, we came here because, we don't have the numbers, and so you can't go to your constituency. Even if you're in your constituency, they're calling you to come back because there's a vote. And that's why we believe that we need this seat so that I can actually go ahead and do a thing or two. And this morning we're having that conversation, Joseph, that if the NPP wins this seat, then, Sarah Joasafo can actually choose to live in the...
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the importance of the seat.
So this is the point I'm trying to
parliamentary
make.
breathing space.
Here, all the attention is on Assin North. Now, it will be very difficult to engage in machinations. And I've had conversations with the politicians who have said to me that, and I've told them, but these elections didn't go your way, says, but that's part of elections. The fact that it didn't go my way doesn't mean that when it was declared, I didn't win. What really matters is that at the end of it all, when it was declared, I was declared the winner. But this would not happen here because what is going to happen is, I told you that the people who are the polling agents are the people who stand to gain.
And in this particular instance, the NDC, and I believe the NPP as well, they use their parliamentary, their MPs as polling agents.
Yes.
But all 136 of them, with the exception of one or two who stayed in the house today, were all there. Because, of course, there are 99 polling stations. You just need one polling agent.
Exactly.
And Muntaka was telling me last week when I interviewed him that the strategy was to get 99 MPs to go in there and become their agents. And so these are people who have contested many elections and won. They know the ins and outs of it. So it's going to be absolutely difficult. I agree with you for you to manipulate anything. But again, I have faith in the electoral system. And no people say when you're in opposition or when you've lost that a system. And another thing I forgot to say. Today, one of the signals I got that alerted me, and I'm making the point to you that alerted something was wrong. When you see an incumbent party in power complain that they are being intimidated, I felt that in the country like Ghana or on the continent of Africa, then you know something is wrong. Justin Kodria was at the polling station. He was complaining that the NDC was intimidating them. And I found that was interesting.
And he even said the police were arresting.
In fact, they were complaining that the police was actually being unfair to the incumbent party, and that he was actually warning that they may be forced to defend themselves because the NDC was targeting their strongholds.
Yes.
And he talks about Assin, Assin Praso, exactly, because he said that there's a stronghold, and that's where we saw the alleged shooting incident. And the minute he said that, I'm like, goodness me, the minute you start hearing that, how was that familiar? In 2016, we had NDC, although they were in power, complaining that the NPP had done things in some of the constituencies. And that was the first time I saw that something was happening. And you've made a point, at the beginning of any elections in the day, the party that is on the path to defeat begin to show the signs. And I guess that's what we're beginning
Even as people who analyze elections. And so, for instance, when I said it was going to be very difficult for, the NDC's James Dachikwesi to win, at the beginning of today, it started dawning on me that this thing could actually turn.
But I honestly didn't have an indication that it could turn. Because also, and I made the point earlier, almost all the NDC guys I spoke to were not and these were senior members of the party. They were not confident.
At all.
Senior in parliament, senior in the party, weren't confident at all.
Evans, does that explain perhaps why they were very upfront in terms of policing the process? You made reference to what Justin Kodria said. Richard Ahiagba also told us on the midday news that they've realized that in the areas where they believe to be their stronghold, the NDC people have populated those areas. So you have key figures there in their numbers, more or less to, it says in an intimidating manner, making it difficult for their members to come and go about their activities. So yes, maybe the NDC didn't seem all too confident, especially because of the entire court issues, the government machinery deployed to the place, roads are being constructed overnight,
allegations of vote buying,
and also the candidate as well, because we were told that this guy, Charles Opoku, was
exactly. And remember, the first time you saw the NDC agitated about the potential of possibly losing this was when they suggested that Charles Opoku was going to be, his vote was going to be transferred. Long before we even had a hint that he was going to be the candidate. And at that time they were making that allegation. He was not, the primary had not even happened.
I mean, there's this other interesting...
So they were genuinely, NDC, they were genuinely harboring the thought of defeat because
you see,
they had somebody from Assin Breku, this man's stronghold, to contest him.
But let me make a point. You see, the point about Ahiagba saying the NDC guys had populated their strongholds. What kind of analysis is that? That you are going into an election.
You know,
and the incumbent party, you know which areas are your stronghold. What you do is to make sure that those persons go out there and vote. But this is the thing about elections. You know, sometimes when I say these, and my politician friends call me and say, but these are things we don't expect you to put on it. So I'm not going to put a lot of things on it because some of the things are just for you to understand. In elections, a lot of things happen. Okay, so, and you know, the accounts have saying, oh yeah, sure, yeah. Politicians talk. They know what they do in strongholds. And so if you know you had plans of doing things in your stronghold, when I say you have plans of doing things, I'm sure everybody now understands what I'm trying to say. You have plans of doing things in your stronghold. Your opponent also have plans of doing things in their stronghold. If your whole election strategy is on doing things in your stronghold, then it's a problem. As part of the election strategies, you prevent people from voting in some instances. It's what politicians do. So they know that, look, this is a stronghold. And so if the NPP is complaining, if Ahiagba said these things, then it means the NDC beat them to their game. Because what you do is to make it difficult for your opponent's stronghold to vote. So what do? People will try and do all manner of things. They block roads. They do things. They sometimes would, ensure that there's a delay in arrival of, voting materials and everything. And then while they are on it, people would go and sometimes go and create confusion, which we say it must never happen. Election must be free and fair. But you don't come and complain. Which means, what was your strategy going into the election?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was a big thing. But also, we talked about something earlier about the campaign strategies that both parties adopted and how both parties focus on the individual James Achikwueze. I mean, and it was understandable. The NPP, however, beyond James Achikwueze, also counted heavily on investments they pumped into the Assin North. They counted on it. In fact, it was on PM Express when I was speaking to the national organizer of the party, Henry Nanabi. He was telling me that all the way back in 2020, when James Achikwueze lost that High Court case in the Central Region, for which reason there was a fight in Parliament whether he could participate in the vote or not. That was the time the NPP started plotting and understanding and preparing that there is the possibility of a by-election as not going forward. Because that particular outcome, they believe, if it was grounded on the facts, the courts above it
will come to the same conclusion.
So they started planning for the by-elections in Assin North in 2020. And that is the reason why going into the by-elections, they had 120 projects to commission, including a 32-kilometer road that the President commissioned recently. And all the projects we're seeing there were projects that had been planned. And for my point I'm making is, the level of strategy that went into Assin North is one that we haven't seen in a while, because the party in power had planned for this for almost 2 years. And it came to fruition exactly how they planned it, right? So that level of confidence is what gave the MPP that boldness to be absolutely certain we're going to win. And the same facts I'm pointing out is what convinced the NDC when we speak to them that they were going to lose. And that's why we were all having... Look, I spoke to NDC executive who told me they've looked at the numbers. it's going to they're going to lose it, but they're going to try their best. It's because of what they saw on the ground.
Yeah.
These are not projects that they were cutting short for. These were projects they were actually commissioning. These were projects that you couldn't have done in what 30 days it takes for the EC.
Yeah,
you couldn't have turned it around in 30. You couldn't have commissioned a 32-kilometer road, built it in 30 days. They had planned this for a long time. Look, ask my colleagues today when we called them and said there was gunshots in Assin Praso. And we thought it was going to take them at least 40 minutes to get there because we were anticipating the road was bad. Our colleague called that and says, oh, he can get there in 10, 15 minutes. Why? Because that road had been done.
Yes.
You drove on that road.
Yeah.
It's been done. And the president commissioned it. And they had projects. And in fact, the strategy was Nando would do the big one, which was a road. And then the DCEs will commission the smaller projects in there. They'll get other ministers to come in and do it. I think Baumia even went there.
AstroTurf.
Exactly. And you couldn't have built an AstroTurf in 30 days.
No, you can't.
This was all part of the plan. So that's why when we say that even among the NDC, we were convinced we were going to lose, that is they saw the evidence on the ground. And yet, they've lost. And you've made the point. Maybe it came all the way down to the framing. The framing.
Yes.
We've seen what you've done for us.
Yes.
There's some genuineness about this because of strategy. You've been planning this for more than almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Then at least you give it. This is not one of those overnight asphalting of roads.
Even though they were overnight
but the individual in question and the way the NDC framed it, and I make the point earlier, both parties had the same framing, but on the opposite ends of the message. NDC says, victim of injustice. NPP says, vote for him, justice will be served and he will go to jail. Right? So they're all fighting around justice. One is injustice, one is justice. Right? And this is justice. This guy, that's what the president was saying. That this guy, since Obayano, they be our court. And you know, but so the people there read into it. And look, we did when we're speaking to Korunya earlier. The Vox Pop we did. There was a woman who was dressed in white and was talking about Mahanasa.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that message seemed to have sunk in. And this is a country, and this is another thing about Ghanaian people. We don't like to see an individual, even when the person has justifiably done something wrong, chiefs will go and beg for them.
Yes.
His clansmen and kingsmen will go and beg for them, right? So you were making the point. You're asking me a question. Ask that question. Let's answer it.
The question
it's not a fundamental question. It goes to understand the Ghanaian.
The Ghanaian. So,
and in framing your message.
Yes, so if you encounter an ordinary voter, how do you explain to the ordinary voter in Assin North that this individual we voted for in 2020 was declared not to be qualified to contest, yet he's on the ballot paper again, and you have to choose between that person and another person? How do you explain it in simple terms to say that the man renounced his citizenship in November, but he filed his nomination forms in October, and so because of that, he was not qualified to contest in December? It's too complex a framing for the ordinary Ghanaian.
The framing comes in, and this is why I think the NDC did a good job. So, and Evans has made a point that even going into the NDC, some of the secretaries we spoke to told us how their own analysis had shown them research that they're not going to win this. But let's put that one aside. This is what they did a good job, because they said they were going to try. But this is what they did a good job. So here you are with a man whom you voted for. Okay, this guy was supposed to be your member of parliament. But the moment you voted for him, the same party that today is coming here that you should vote for them, what did they do? They took him to court and prevented him from serving you.
Yeah.
They prevented him from serving you. And now they want to bring another person saying that this is the person that can serve you. And they are threatening they will take him to jail. They are the reason you've not had an MP.
Yes.
So show them that they cannot use the legal process to deny you an MP. And you see, when Mahama was doing his final rally, we play the sound, right?
Yes.
When he talked about everything and the fact that, he's not going to go to jail, he's not going to do anything, and that this guy has been persecuted, and that when they bring money, take their money, but don't vote for them. It's the largesse of the state that they have stolen and are bringing you your share. Take it, but do the right thing. So it was very difficult convincing the people, based on the results we're seeing, that this same person, and watch this, he goes back to go and vote. The very person
Yeah.
who's not supposed to.
I mean, the question the woman was asking,
Yes.
it says the one
who's a foreigner?
He's able to vote.
voting. Where's your
This man who we're told who's no allegiance, there's no sign of him voting.
So here's another miscalculation. This is another reason why MP may have miscalculated around the subject of voting, because the guy they put up in Kumewu also didn't have a vote in Kumewu.
Yeah.
In fact, the NDC guy too in Kumewu didn't have a vote there.
Yeah.
Both of them didn't.
Yes.
But the MPP guy won.
Yeah.
So when you speak to the MPP team, they say, yeah, Baba, we did it in Kumewu, so why can't you do it there? Except what they missed was the unique dynamic of Assin North, which is the fact that there's a fight over allegiance around this individual.
Yeah.
Allegiance to country. But you can actually synthesize that to allegiance to constituency.
Yeah.
And one of the ways you can actually make that argument is, where do you vote? Right? And I remember the NDC making the point that we are going to use it to campaign and say that this man, he can't even vote. He's voting somewhere. So he believes that's where he belongs to and not here. And then this guy votes here. And yet they say he's not a citizen of Ghana. So, and the question you asked, so the guy in the village in Assin North,
it's too complex.
the guy in the village in Assin North, they are moved by not legal arguments, but what can they see and feel and touch? They can see this man voting. They can see he's in the constituency. They can see he's voted there the last time in 2020. He won it. They can see him there. They can see he has a house there. They can see this is where he votes. They can see it.
And they
As this man, they haven't seen him vote there before.
And they also are
right. Although he has some roots there, he's that obviously done some work there. They have support, but they can't see that. So when you're talking about definition of allegiance, which is a big English legal word, it translates to, can he vote here or not?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And they
for the woman
they can
on
see
the
the
ground.
fact that for more than 3 decades, this man, we are told, lived in Canada. We know how many people would jump at a Canadian citizenship. Let's be very blunt about it. He's left it. He's come down to the constituency. He's won. Is that not an easier message to put out there to say that shows allegiance?
They see.
That shows the allegiance to the country.
Okay, so guys, did MPP misfire then in settling on Charles?
Now we are all wiser, right? We are all wiser. Before now, as I've just explained and he's explained, I thought it was a smart idea to get Charles Opoku. I thought it was a smart idea.
I still think so. I still think if they had gone for the former MP,
it was a smart idea. And listen, this is EC confirmed results, and we are updating it for you. 74 out of 99 in now. James Atukwesing is 54.29%. Charles Opoku is 55.43%, and the LPG 45.43%, and the LPG is 0.2. Let me just repeat that again for the avoidance of doubt. This is EC certified results coming in from the collation center in Assin North. Out of 99 polling stations, 74 are in. Out of that, James Atukwesing has 54.29%. Charles Opoku, 45.43%. And the LPG's candidate, 0.2. You say this is what?
It's statistically
impossible. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
It's statistically impossible.
I didn't say that.
It is at this point in time. You can't.
You sure you can say it's statistically impossible?
It is. If we bring this thing, we use that.
So the question you should be asking yourself is: the remainder of the
25.
Are they in his stronghold or his stronghold? Considering that both of them come from Assin Breku.
And that's it.
That sort of makes his argument.
Yes, and at this point in time, if we bring this thing, we start looking at the polling stations and the number of registered voters there, we will prove that. It's done. At this point, the NPP's IT director has indicated that they've lost. They'll go and prepare and come back in 2024. That's, conceding defeat. You don't need anything. And, at this point in time, I'm sure by now Charles Opoku is being consoled by, supporters.
I honestly don't think that he's lost so much.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I actually personally believe that if the other woman had contested, the gap may have been wider than it is now.
Why do you think so?
No, here's the thing. Sorry, this is to answer his question. Before a month ago, do you know him?
No, I didn't.
Do you know him?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he just was plucked from somewhere and thrown into the race. So what has he lost?
Oh, he hasn't lost anything.
That's my point I'm making. That he said he's been consoled, right?
No, whenever you lose an election.
No, I get it.
Yes.
But I'm saying, what is his skin in the game in Assin North? What was his skin in the game really before a month ago? This is somebody, the party had campaigned for him.
Yes.
The entire party machinery went and campaigned for him. That's why he didn't hear him himself.
Yeah.
Because everybody else was speaking for him and he himself was just coasting. The party wanted to win on the strength of their strategy.
Yeah.
Not on the strength of his personality, not the strength of his own strategy. Nothing. The NDC, on the other hand, they were going to campaign on the strength of his alleged victimization.
That's why, guys, before that's why I wanted to find out that with the same strategy the party used, if they had used it on the woman,
yeah, but you have
the woman would have lost with a bigger margin. The woman would have lost with a bigger margin.
You have a woman, who is contesting, and the presidential candidate has won convincingly.
Yeah.
Has won convincingly across the constituency, and the woman has lost the former MPO, a former member of parliament. She held the seat one term. She's contesting against a newcomer, James Quayson, and the presidential candidate is winning across polling centers all throughout, and she's losing. So that on paper shows you that she's definitely not a good candidate, and especially because the numbers are also from the Assin Breku area.
Yes, but you see, Evans, when you make the point, there's a bit of a departure from what you said. When you make the point that the party felt they could win on their strategy, then why did they bring him? Because the party acknowledges that they need somebody to break his dominance in Assin Breku. So in bringing this man, yes, the party knows that we have a strategy, but he becomes part of our strategy. So our strategy is also dependent on him. So it's just not us saying, it's just not the party saying, we're going there to go and do this, but you're also taking somebody who complements you. And so the party strategy is to bring this man, and that's why I think that, look,
So let me ask a question. I guess a question nobody asked. We took it for granted when they told us that this man from Assin Breku and has done a lot for them in the constituency. Mm-hmm. What was the strength of Charles Poku really in Assin Breku?
Exactly.
Apart from the fact that we are told he's done some work in the constituency and it was philanthropic.
So we are told he actually has an NGO that's a foundation in honor of his mom. Yeah. So he's done a number of projects in the place. Yeah. But I guess the point you are driving at is the fact that those are not targeted projects. You know, when you are doing projects with the aim of wanting to be a member of parliament, it's very different.
My point.
Yeah, so
that's my point.
Yeah, but you see,
the strategy.
Right. Yeah, you're very right. But this is the point also. So I mean, and we're here in Accra. We sent a team to Assin North, and the information from Assin North was that we know him. He was the one who gave the building for the new district.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if somebody gives his building for the new district, and the information from Assin North at the time, particularly from Assin Breku, was the fact that this man had renovated, the Assin State College and had done a lot of things in the area, and so he was known.
Yeah, but what was he seeking to do? Because you heard Sammy Jemfi this afternoon.
Yeah.
Sammy Jemfi says the gentleman came to the NDC. Wanted to contest on the ticket of the NDC. Sammy Jemfi made that allegation.
That they should dislodge James Jachikwe
and have him as a candidate. And they rejected it. And when Richard Konyako asked him for evidence, he says, we have the WhatsApp chat. He contacted us that he wanted to be our candidate. So he asked the question again that if indeed he was doing those projects, what was the end game?
Yeah. So, what was the end game? The end game was to contest.
Because the end game is not to contest on a specific ticket. It's not targeted.
Yeah, but if you use actually, if what Sammy Jemfi said is true, then it means he had a plan. Because I had also been told by my friends within the NDC, the very leading members in the NDC, that he came to them, but that's not something I can independently verify. So I'm not going to make that point. So let's use Sammy Jemfi's point.
Yeah.
If that is true, then it means the guy had a plan. Because if he walked to the NDC and said, I am the man to do the job for you, it means he knew that he could definitely one day do this or become an MP.
Yeah,
and so that would mean he had a plan.
I have a question, though. I have a question about if he did have a plan, what was the effectiveness of that plan? You said that he said in the constituency that he gave the district assembly's building to them.
Yeah.
This is my challenge. That's a political strategy. If you really had a plan, and indeed, from what we've said, if as Sammy Jemfi is able to go by, then he wanted to contest in some shape or form, either for NDC or NPP. Given a building to a disassembly, will that present you as the man for the people? Think about it. This assembly building is for this assembly.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, this will be in 2012 when the consensus was created.
Yeah.
So the question again becomes, why is he not voting there?
Yeah.
Good.
Exactly.
After giving them the assembly, why is he not?
If he really wanted to become
and by the way, is the building in Assin Breku?
Yes, that's
the capital is in Assin.
And again, let's track back to the history. 2012, when he did this, the NDC had deliberately carved out Assin North from the bigger picture. We'll come to that when we hit 9, when we cross over into post-analysis. They carved it out. The Assin North we know now, out of, it was Assin North, Assin Central, Assin North and South. Central wasn't part. They carved North out because it was their stronghold. Now, it actually then lends credence to what Sami Jimfi may be saying. Because we all know it was a part of the political strategy, gerrymandering, to win that part because the NDC had seen that is an area that we win. Although Kennedy Japan was winning the entire constituency, when we do the calculations, our people are in the north of the part of the northern part of Assin. And then he quickly carved it, and they carved that, and he goes to give them a building. He gave it to the NDC government in 2012, didn't he? It was an NDC government he gave it to. And that is a political establishment. It's part of the government architecture.
So that could potentially explain why he may have approached them.
That is exactly my point I'm coming to. If it's true, that is potentially why he would have gone first to the NDC, because he would have said, but when you created this thing to win, and remember, when NDC created, didn't they win it in 2012?
They won it.
They won in 2012. And then he gave it to them. That office, who occupied it? Isn't somebody who had been appointed by John Mahama at that time? Depending on which time of the year it was. Either it was before July 24th, then it would have been in the Mills. Post that, I don't know which time this was created, but he gave it to them, and the person who occupied that building, the first person, was an NDC guy. So my point is, he had a plan, but did he? So this is 2012. What did he really do to endear himself? Look, if you are a politically astute, if you really want to endear yourself to the people, there are things that you do that makes you. If you build a school, you endear, because majority of the people, their kids will go there. They will see.
Yeah, and he's been renovating schools.
Fantastic. You build a hospital, they'll go there, right? You get some boreholes in the community, they'll go there.
Which is what he's been doing.
So my question is, if he's done all that, and that's why the NPP had gone for him, why has he not won this tonight? Against a man who came into this race with a significant burden on his shoulder and battle. Why hasn't he won it?
Evans, you might also ask yourself, very important question, but you might also ask yourself the simple question, why is it that James Jachikwesin maintains, the same kind of votes that he had so far from all that we have seen, and the NPP loses its votes? Ask yourself that question, juxtapose that with what Sami Jemfi says, and ask yourself the next question, could that have affected even the NPP's chances? But this is the thing in politics also. I'm sure you know of the defense minister.
Yeah.
You know the defense minister. In 2022, he contested the Bimbila by-election and won.
Yeah.
Did you hear the CPP at the time saying that they had teamed up with the PNC and were going to present one candidate?
Yeah.
Look for Kwesi Pratt saying that they've stolen their candidates. Their candidate was Dominic Nitiwo. He was going to be presented as the PNC candidate. Then Dan Kweku Butri, at the time, as General Secretary of the NPP, quickly says, get this guy to contest on the ticket of the
because
NPP.
He can do the work.
He contested and won. So there is evidence to show that sometimes you can actually get somebody and say, look, I want you to do this job for me. And if they accept, they go ahead and do it. But can they do it and do it well? I still think that, yes, the NDC run a lot of good
What was the
campaigns.
deciding factor between the two of them? What would you put down to?
I think the NDC's framing worked.
So you mean the deciding factor is James Jachikwesin's prosecution?
I think
Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what
And
you're trying to say?
also-
For me,
I'm asking the question.
for me,
I'm just asking the question.
for me, I placed it-
not
I
just
placed
that.
it on two things.
Not just that.
Okay.
The first thing I placed it on was the fact that Kwesi is a good candidate, and I demonstrated that by looking at the data that we have. The data shows that NPP is very strong in Assin North. We can't play with that. Even
In Assin North.
yes, Assin North, and I'm saying
But
that
if you
because
look at the
president
numbers,
Akufo-Addo won.
both parties have won.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Even the presidential
Relatively.
makeup, when you do from 2012, it's 2-1. The NPP has won twice, and the NDC has won it once. In terms of the presidential
I'm talking about
candidates.
parliamentary.
Yes, so the parliamentary candidate is the other way around. And
Yeah.
it's the other way around because the time that NDC was supposed to lose the seat, they brought in James Kwesi and he won. That broke the trend. So I'm saying that one, Kwesi is a good candidate because even when his presidential candidate lost all across, he won. Then the second aspect is the framing. So I think those two things.
So when you guys say framing, I just wanted to narrow it. When you say framing, you mean his prosecution?
Not just prosecution, because the bit.
But the framing is around the prosecution.
Yes.
No,
Without that, they can't frame him.
I'm saying that because it goes beyond prosecution. Maybe I'm being legalist with this. The point I'm simply making is that the attempt to get him out, let me just put it that way, because it starts from.
But the attempt cannot be done out of.
That's it.
Joseph.
The framing
in my mind, because in my
Okay,
mind-
guys, hold on. Yes,
in my
let's
mind,
listen
the
to Joseph.
prosecution is limited to the criminal aspect that is ongoing. But the fight started.
No, beyond
the
that.
fight started from when he even filed his nomination form.
Exactly. That's what prosecution.
Well, so
It's
if you are-
legal trouble.
No,
It's legal. Okay, it's legal trouble.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, well, he's legal.
It's legal trouble.
Anyway, just before we go, Evans,
So,
we have 86. out of
86.
Okay.
Only 13 to go.
I told you. Statistically impossible.
And the gap is actually widening a bit now. I mean, so this is it. I mean, say it again.
Oh, I've told you. Why do you want to? Why do you want to transfer this one to me?
Okay, guys.
They said Dominic Kwabenya is here to come.
Guys, you know what? Guys, you know what? I think this is getting very, very interesting.
No, but let's just repeat the numbers.
Okay, so repeat
for those who are just joining us. If you're just watching us, out of 99 polling stations, as you can see, 86 have been counted and certified by the Electoral Commission. Out of that 86, James Atukwesing has 56.74%. Charles Poku of the NPP has 42.97%. And the LPG's candidate has 0.29%. And as Winston keeps on saying, it appears at this moment it is statistically impossible for the NPP's candidate to overtake James Atukwesing in this race. And this is live results, by the way, coming in from the Electoral Commission. We're going to take a break. When we return, maybe we'll get you the final results.
Exactly. So do stay with us. This is still the results show on your election headquarters. We'll take a quick break. We'll right back.
By the time we are done, you will see the love. People have the intimidation.
Sammy, obviously my mistake. Like I said, my Charles Opoku never. But my mistake.
Charles Opoku is a political prostitute.
Oh,
Oba, what's that? Yama honorable Kwesi Ntranche, Niama Nemra.
Exactly.
And yes, the NPC,